Hey there, my name's Paul, and this is Out of Neutral, a weekly tune-up where we look to the Bible to get in gear and follow Jesus into the life he came to make possible. Today I want to talk about the comeback that faith is finally making in our day. When a CTV News report uses words like revival and religious resurgence to describe the reversal of the trend of religious decline, it's worth taking notice. In fact, it's the first time I've ever heard such language used for the Western Church in my lifetime. It signals that God is at work in our generation, and it's important that we understand and respond to what's happening. The UK Bible Society was among the first to document the trend. In a report titled The Quiet Revival, they've reported a 50% rise in church attendance over the last 6 years, from 8% to 12% of the population. That amounts to an increase of over 2 million church-going Christians in just 6 years. Most encouraging was the fourfold rise in church attendance among 18 to 24-year-olds, moving from 4% to 16%, and the threefold increase among 25 to 34-year-olds, from 4% to 13% over the same period. The authors of the report give some of the potential reasons for the trend. Dr. Rob Barward-Simmons says, with much of the population struggling with mental health, loneliness, and a loss of meaning in life, in particular young people, church appears to be offering an answer. We found that churchgoers are more likely than non-churchgoers to report higher life satisfaction and a greater feeling of connection to their community than non-churchgoers. They're also less likely to report frequently feeling anxious or depressed, particularly young women. This isn't just happening in the UK, though. There's signs of renewal in the US as well. In America, there hasn't been a 50% increase in church attendance over 6 years, but the third quarter data from the Unstuck Group reports an 11% increase in church attendance for the year across the 252 churches that it surveyed. Even more encouraging is a recent report from Barna that showed for the first time in decades, younger adults, Gen Z and millennials, are now the most regular churchgoers. In fact, the rates of church attendance among young people are the highest they've seen since Barna began tracking these statistics. Perhaps one of the most visible demonstrations of this was the Asbury Revival. Just a regular Wednesday chapel at Asbury University on February 8th, 2023, ignited 16 days of renewal attended by more than 50,000 visitors coming from as far away as Russia and Japan. There were reports of healing, salvations, and many, many young adults rededicating themselves to the Lord. While there are major differences between Canada and America where faith is concerned, Canadian young people show the same hunger for God that their counterparts in America and the UK show. While just 18% of Canadians were deemed religiously committed in a recent Angus Reid poll, almost 24% of 18 to 34-year-olds fall into that group. In other words, Canadians most likely to be earnest in their faith are under 35. Closer to home, our own fellowship has seen encouraging growth. For many years, our church association just seemed to be holding its own. Some new churches were planted and others died off, but our total number held steady at around 500. That's changed. Over the last 5 years, the fellowship has grown from 507 to 541 churches. In fact, there have been 11 new church plants this year alone. So how do we respond? For many years, Christians have had a defeatist attitude regarding decline. We're in the last days, so come Lord Jesus. We've become reluctant to share our faith and have often adopted a defensive mindset. That has to change. Seeing God at work in this generation should move us to respond in at least 3 ways. First is prayer. This is a moment to ask, seek, and knock. It's a time to pray for the Lord to send workers into the harvest. This is our chance to show God that we care as much about a lost and dying world as He does. The second is proclamation. Now is also a time to speak up. The promises of secularism have failed people, and many are looking for new answers. We have a ripe opportunity to share the good news, share our testimonies, and invite people to church. And finally, preparation. When the wind starts blowing, it's time to raise the sails. If God is creating a spiritual openness in the people around us, We need to prepare to receive them. We need to open our hearts and make room for new people and care well for those whom God gives us. If the tide of faith is beginning to turn, let's not be caught watching from the sidelines. Let's be among those who welcome it with open arms. God is stirring this generation. May He find us prayerful, bold, and ready. That's all for this time. If today's video has helped you get out of neutral, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to join us in the journey.